So it's not just about technology. Still, at the end of the day, especially construction, it is a human-to-human experience. You know, everything's being done in the field. You're working with some contractor. You got to have a lot of trust in a lot of different companies to bring a project to life. So getting into, you know, relationships and other things that help, you know, help us together guide this uncertainty. First question is for you, Zach. What's one relationship building approach you're seeing work especially well in an uncertain market?
Really, I would say it's thinking long-term and approaching relationships with a long-term view. And it's not just this project or this customer and this one-time engagement, but how can I work with this customer long-term? How can I be side by side with them, be on the same side as the table as them, so to speak, and really work through this project with them? I've seen a lot of that resonate, not just with what I do on a day-to-day basis, but again, within our clients. I think of it a lot. I know the examples are given a lot of times with Amazon Prime and things like that. Things these days are so transactional. I want Advil. 50 years ago, you'd go down to the local pharmacist and talk with them, and they'd know you, and they'd give you your pills or whatever medications you had. Or today, you just go on Prime, and it's 2 hours later, it's at your front door. And I think that although we've been moving towards, quicker, faster, easier, cheaper in our world, I think for relationship building, people, when you're working with them and they really feel like you're there with them for a 5, 10, 20, 40-year term and you want to partner with them, not just in this one specific engagement, I think that's really been driving success. Like I said, not just with our customers at Accordant, but also with our customers' customers and really building relationships in a, I'll say, highly transactional world today.
Yeah, that's great. Comment to that? Didn't want to interrupt in case you were going to make it.
No, I think I think that's exactly where you got to be. It's the here and now approach for so many people. So you got to treat it that way in almost everything you're doing. So I mean, I agree 100% with how he's going.
I do love Amazon Prime, and the convenience, but yeah.
I do too. Don't worry, I'm still going to order from them.
Personal interaction is, I think, healthy, and we need it. So John, speaking of your company, has your company culture helped you retain talent in a tough labor market, and any advice you would give others?
Started WRNM 15 years ago, and the culture then, and I think we try to keep it now, is still that family environment. We're a close-knit group, and when I came in at that time, we had some older project managers and things. Over the past few years, we've really through the leadership of our president and vice president and CEO, we've really made the push to get younger, and a lot of that has helped. We're still having to instill that culture of family ties, but we still try to just make it where everybody knows that they're important to what we're doing. We try to bring in our field staff, our superintendents, every other year, just to try to make them feel part of the team. Everybody's visiting job sites and things, so the culture is trying to make it feel like a family. So you're not just going to work; you're going to deal with everybody.
Yeah, and what they're doing is important. I mean, we wouldn't be able to have what we're talking about right now without the construction industry and all the great and amazing things you guys do. So thank you for that. Zach, question for you. How are your clients getting more strategic about pricing and bidding in this little volatile market?
So John obviously touched on it a little bit, being every day entrenched in it with his customers, but building in, I've really seen a lot of clients that are building in more legal mechanisms into their contracts, and shorter durations on promises, ability to go back and revise terms if certain things happen. So really, I would say part of it is legal contracts. Part of it also too is I've seen people very interesting are getting a lot smarter with their bidding. I've worked with a couple customers recently that have been really working hard to embed AI within their bidding process, within their contract process. And it's not just an Excel spreadsheet with their secret sauce of here's how we've estimated for the last 20 years and this is how we've been successful, but really going and looking at their bids, running it through AI technology, understanding where they've underbid, overbid, where contracts have maybe had some holes in them in the past, and using that data and being much more analytical, just to come up with more accurate contracts and bidding and pricing, but then also really to be delivering things quicker. Again, I've had clients that have been coming to us saying, I'm losing work because I can't turn bids around fast enough, and I can't turn them around fast enough if I don't have the right information. And it's people out there that are adopting technology that are giving out extremely accurate bids in an extremely short time span that are winning work.
Yeah, we see that all the time where AI is in full effect and has been for a little bit in the, especially the digital takeoff world. Being able to have estimators get a bid out in a week versus a couple weeks or whatever the time frame is and how the complex the project is. So yeah, that's a huge ROI in a particular area of the business. John, any last question before the last, I should say, second to last question. Are there any other strategies that helped you navigate uncertainty?
I think it's getting the buy-in of your company and having some of the technologies there really do help out. I mean, the communication, you got to have good communication back and forth between your operations side and the accounting side, and the technology platforms. They help put it out there to light. I mean, if you see a report and it's a line's in red, well, we got a problem. I mean, that's just there. So I think getting that adoption, getting everybody on the same page with the technology, keeping everybody consistent in how they're doing things really does help. It really helps us manage the projects better, manage the company better, and see where we're missing the opportunities.
Great. And this brings us to our final question. I'm going to ask both of you the same question. I'll start with you, Zach. We'll finish with you, John. But looking ahead, how do you see the role of finance leaders evolving in helping construction companies not weather uncertainty, but lead through it?
So this is kind of an interesting one because, obviously helping finance leaders and being a consultant and solutions architect and such with them, it's really thinking about it and kind of thinking it over like a longer term period. Finance leaders traditionally, in my opinion, you're managing people and you're managing workflows and process, and you may be a CFO or VP of finance or whatever, fill in the blank title in a finance role, and you're managing 5, 10, 15 people that are putting financial statements together and profitability reports and things and then reporting up, and your job as the leader of that organization or department, so to speak, is to make sure all that hums appropriately and everybody's working in harmony and getting things done. Where I see with technology coming in is the role of a financial leader, in my opinion, is going to be less about people leadership and more about leaning into technology. Someone who traditionally might have had 15 accountants or finance people underneath of them, that they were, making sure we're operating smoothly. Now there may be 4 people doing that job with the work of, augmented with technology. And that finance leader's their goal, I should say, is not so much of managing people, but more of making sure those people are using the technology effectively and efficiently, while also making sure that the data is being analyzed. It's not just a matter of putting a balance sheet and a profit and loss together and then looking at it and saying, yeah, this is accurate, and let's go review it with the executive committee. But how fast and how accurate can we put that balance sheet and profit and loss together? And are we asking the right questions? Are we slicing and dicing the data in the right way? Are we analyzing it? Are we really looking for trends in those deeper kind of hidden nuggets within our financial data to make us just that much better, that much sharper, that much on top of things versus our competition? So to sum it up, I really see it as a shift of being a people-centered leader to a technology-centered leader, really. Strategic thinker, yes.
And how do you see it, John?
Yeah, you make a lot of good points there, because as you do manage people, and historically the financial person has managed, the accounting staff or whoever it is, and with the technology that we've been able to put in place, I mean, especially at W.R. Newman, our volume's grown drastically over the last 4 years or so, and we haven't added any more people. So it's the technology that's allowing you to do it. So as you put more stuff into place, it does allow you to have less people that you're having to manage, but you got to manage more of these softwares, and how can you be more efficient? So you are the one looking out and saying, hey, how, if we grow 10, 15, 20% more, are we going to need more people, or do we just need more technology? Or can we use this technology to make it work smarter for us? Work smarter, not harder. So that's the mentality we're trying to go with. In my day-to-day, you still have to look back, and you still got to pull the books together, and you still got to present the financials. But being able to look of, hey, what's next year going to look like? What projects are sitting out there? Are you going to be able to keep this team busy? In the uncertain times you get into, if things do start going bad, you got to be able to cut quicker and deeper than you really want to. But that's where you're right now. You're looking at that pipeline going, how much of this is going to hit? How fast is it going to hit? Or is it going to spread out and keep us, stable for the next 12, 18 months? So a lot of that looking there, do we know if, hey, what's the company look like?
Right. Yeah. And what's the future? Even
Yeah.
it's always what we've always been hoping to come up with, but it's easier said than done. I'll leave that to the movies. But yeah, with that, we're at time, and I just want to say thanks to both of you, John and Zach. Zach and John, and for your knowledge, your experience has been invaluable. I'm sure everybody listening is going to appreciate experiences you've gone through, and I know uncertainty. If you look at it, it's not a no-brainer. That it's people know that uncertainty's here to stay. It's always been around. It's not going away. But I think if we all looked at it in hindsight, we would say uncertainty is a gift. Otherwise, we'd be stagnant. I firmly believe uncertainty drives innovation. It teaches us. And I think most importantly, it brings us together as people, because we have to, go through challenges together, and there's nothing better than going through a challenge together. And at this point, strong relationships. I mean, that's why we're here on this planet. So it's great. Thank you. And thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Dustin.